bad news. And understand this, around 70% of the amygdala cells are organized around negative stimuli. So basically, what that means is there's potential for you to unconsciously associate anything to being a threat. It could even be a pencil. You look at a pencil and you're going, well, the balanced me, the balanced mental and emotional me would see that pencil and go, ooh, it's for writing. But the anxious me, if this is in fact a state that you've practiced and programmed yourself into over the years, is showing up in that moment. You look at that pencil and go, what would it be like to be stabbed by that pencil? Oh my goodness. You can create anything, really. Anything. You look at a cup of water. I don't want a cup of water. I had a bad experience with water before, so I want to drink it very, very, very slowly and minimally. Because maybe you were on a beach long time ago and you had an accident at the beach. Water was there, sand was there, people were there, and the amygdala attached everything in that situation to being a threat to you. So if 70% of the amygdala cells are organized around negative stimuli, only 30% are organized around positive stimuli. The second thing we need to understand about the amygdala, and this is very, very important, when it finds bad news, itself and its partner, the hippocampus, responsible for long-term memory, create memory for the context of that bad news. Stress hormones get activated to respond to the bad news. The memory system takes the bad news and places it in storage and sets it up for immediate retrieval based around anything, keyword, anything that comes along that's similar to it. This is why whoever you are today is a result of what came first in your life, since during childhood it was all emotions, no access to conscious thinking, and what was repeated the most often. Whatever came first and whatever was repeated the most often, voila, you have you today. So, pens, water, walls, people, for example. You're going about your day and someone criticizes you in some way, and all of a sudden the general idea is that people are bad. And I must distance myself from people so that they don't trigger my anxiety. So you distance yourself. You have a generalization over people as a whole just because of one bad experience. But we never take the time to analyze that bad experience and say, you know what? If I were to go to a tree and start picking apples, the more apples I pick, the more chance there is that I'm going to grab a bad apple in there somewhere. So it's not that people are generally bad or up against you or whatever it is, whatever meaning you've created. It's just that you ran into a bad apple. But do we ever take the time to recognize that it's just one challenging experience? No, we don't. Because the amygdala kicks in and says everything is X based on this emotional response and you confirming it through your thoughts and actions. Buddha called it the second dart. The first dart is the initial reaction to a situation. Let's call it fear. The second dart is a conscious reaction. If you continue thinking in line with that initial dart, you are throwing second darts into that place. And if you continue to throw second darts, you are now thinking and acting in line with the subconscious you that believes that reality is a threatening thing. And you must protect yourself at every corner. So this is important. It's important to understand how the amygdala connects things to other things. Next thing you know, we are generalizing everything and we're not really paying attention. We are literally enslaved to our emotions. Are you enslaved to your emotions? The third thing we need to understand around the amygdala is that positive experiences have to be held in awareness for quite some time. And they must be repeated consistently to go from short to long-term memory storage. What that means is that negative experiences are much more easily stored compared to positive ones. That's it. You know what this means? This means that you have to consciously feel better, consciously think above your emotional reactions, consciously act above your emotional reactions, consistently over and over and over again to convince the amygdala that something is not a threat but is in fact neutral and safe. So you could have one negative experience and boom, it goes from short to long-term memory. There it is. This is based on our evolution. Or you could have a positive experience, which means don't expect that positive experience to be stored in long-term memory. It's going to take repeated, consistent effort in order for that to occur. Now, warrior, understand this. The amygdala needs guidance. It doesn't need more evidence to prove that something it believes is life-threatening actually is. It already does a good job of attaching everything to a potential threat. So, accept it, understand it better, love it for the job that it's doing, and most importantly, lead it rather than be led by the amygdala. I promise you, if you can do this, you will not only be free from anxiety, but you will thrive and prosper internally and externally.